Yes, working to turn it up. And we have the great guest, Fatty Vautin.
They've given you a segment to host. Mate, that will do me.
Well, we borrowed Turn It Up. You wrote a book called Turn It Up,
Yeah,
so
I did.
I want to apologise for
Turn
that.
It Up.
You get royalties for this?
No, that book, yeah.
There it is.
That sold about 8 copies.
Who chose the picture?
And the tie.
We're at Suncorp, the old Lang Park. Yeah. You got signed by Manly. Was there a try or a game where Manly identified you as a player of some promise?
I played for Western Brisbane my senior year in 1978 and the semi-final against Valley. So this is me. This try actually got me to Sydney. I ran, it's about 70 metres. I could actually run back in those days. Look at the footage, it's almost in black and white. But that out of that try, I started getting goal kicker, with the goal kicking, by the way, about 2/3 of the way through the year. Because, mate, I'm making 1,000 tackles and 100 runs and I'm trying to kick goals from the sideline. I couldn't even breathe. So my coach, Donny Oxman, come to me, right, and he goes, "Champ, look, you're kicking at about 31%. We're going to take the kicking off you." I said, "Thank God for that." But anyway, just so out of that particular try, I had 3 clubs approach me. Cronulla rang me and went down there and spoke to them. Now, I was on $100 a year was my contract for Western Brisbane, right?
Overpaid?
No. And so Cronulla offered me $6,000 a year. They'd just been beaten by Manly in the 78 grand final. And but I didn't really want to go there. And then Tommy Bishop had got the North Sydney job. And he came to our place and he offered me, and I said to my dad said to me, "We never take the first offer, right?" So Tommy Bishop spits out, "We're going to offer you $7,500 per year for 3 years." And my man goes, "Oh, we'll take it." He said, "That's more than I earn." He was a train driver, right? So talk about a sliding door moment. Our club president was there, a bloke called Huey Kelly, lovely guy, and he says to Tommy, "We've invested a lot of money in Paul, and he's on a big contract with West, right, 100 a year. So we're going to impose a $6,000 transfer fee." So he goes back, he rings 2 days later and says, "Mate, North Sydney, no, they don't want to pay the transfer fee, so sorry, you won't be coming." I signed with Manly 2 days later. Ken Arthurson also saw the footage, and I signed there for $6,000 for 3 years and played there for 11 years.
Tell us about that. Tell us about living over the Northern Beaches.
Loved
favourite team, Logan.
Absolutely loved it.
When I hear you talk about them, there's a massive affection.
No,
for
there
the
is,
Northern
because I drove down, and you know what? I said goodbye to Mum and Dad, and I said, "You know what? This is what I said to Dad. I'll probably play reserve grade for 3 years, and I'll come back and rejoin West." So I get down there. I actually played first grade in the first game of the year against the Dragons. It was amazing standing around and looking at Terry Randall, who was my idol, having watched him play for New South Wales here at Lang Park. You know, Johnny Gibbs, still my best mate. Max Krilich, Alan Thompson, Russell Gardner, Graham Eadie. It was like I'm going, what am I doing here? But I trained as hard as I could, and I eventually got into first grade. Had a magnificent look. 1979 is almost my favourite year. It was just great. And then from there, we had a different set of coaches, and then Bob Fulton turned up in 1983, and he really changed the way that we played. He's the first guy, he's a great coach, first guy I know that he split the field into 10-metre zones. So we started what he called patterns of play. We just work to the 50, we'll go the other 50, we'll work to the 70 and come back, all that sort of stuff. He was magnificent, and eventually to win a comp under his coaching in 1987. And, I was captain, but just one part of a great team. Mick O'Connor, actually, he came to Manly in 87 and he changed. Dale Shearer was, every player that year, I reckon, played the best I've ever played. And that's what it takes to win a comp. So I had a great career there at Manly. It was fantastic.
Fat, even today, you look like you love the game of rugby league. Was that always the case?
Yeah. My old man, he was a train driver, right? And he worked on the old steam trains. He would come home at 8 o'clock in the morning, covered in soot, and he'd get to the start of the hallway. We had about a 5-metre hallway. And he'd go one step and I'd be round his legs at the age of 5 and 6. And he'd said to us, "Ain't the good tackle, son?" And it was always hips, slide, block, bang, and down he'd go, you know. So, and he encouraged me, and that's the way I started to tackle and always tackled, yeah. So I loved it right from the... And Dad used to bring me here at Lang Park in the mid-60s, 64, 65, all the way through. And we used to follow West, and yeah, it was great.
Rugby League week, mate.
Rugby League week?
Yes, Rugby League week.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Which one? I think I know what you're going to bring up. So I signed to go to Manly.
Oh, look at something. Mate, you're packing heat.
I was obviously pretty excited to have this photo shoot done. Well, that's only a halfer. Anyway, so they get me at like 8:30 in the morning. I said, we're going to take some photos. You're going to Manly. We want to do a story on you. And so there I am. Look at that body.
See where they signed you.
That was the last time I did a weight in my life. Anyway, no, it was great. Rugby League, I wish it was still around. Magnificent.
Another big part of your life was the Footy Show.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like, the start of it? Like, there'd never been a show like that, really, in sport, like, you know, bringing in that whole light side of it. And, you know, what was that whole experience like, the Footy Show?
It was so much fun. So we started doing the Sunday Footy Show in 1993. And on a Sunday, it was quite successful. I was hosting and, with Peter Sterling and Blocker. And then Gary Burns, our boss, came to us and said, I think I can get you two imbeciles and do a nighttime, primetime show at 9:30. We'll get some people around you and we'll do this 9:30. And we said, mate, how's that going to work? Well, we just did it, and I remember the first show we did had all these scripts written out and all this stuff I was supposed to read, and I said, mate, this stuff's horrendous. Who wrote this? This is garbage. And there's a bloke sitting in the corner goes, oh, I did it. I said, mate, with all due respect, I can't read that out. You know what? I'm just going to wing it. And Gary Burns' head went like this. He said, you're going to? I said, yeah, we'll wing it. Don't worry about it, Gaz. And we walked out for the first show, and Sterlo gets here and he goes, are you sure you're going to wing it? I said, yeah, watch this. And so that's how it was born. And it was just a great fun show to do. And, the last thing I said to whoever was on the show, just enjoy yourselves, boys, have some fun.
Well, you spoke about Gary Burns.
Yeah.
He was the boss of sport, the big boss, the great Kerry Packer.
Yeah.
Any dealings with Kerry?
I did during the Super League thing, right? And and at the back of that, Manly and Norths were offered $10 million each by the ARL to merge. And I was actually on the board at the time. I didn't want to merge because the clubs didn't like each other, and it just would have been a money thing, and it wouldn't have worked. But Kerry Packer, his secretary, rings me up, and she goes, oh, hello, Paul. I said, I'm from Mr. Packer's office, and I knew James quite well. I said, Mr. Packer would love you to come in. I said, oh, say good day to James for me. He said, no, it's not James, it's Kerry. I said, oh my God. So, and drove straight into Hyde Park, and there he is. I walk into his office and he's got the legs up, he's got a bunger in his mouth. Sit down, son, we need to talk. So it was all about, Bozo had rung him about North. He goes, they tell me you don't want to merge, why is that? And I said, well, mate, we don't like each other. He said, look at this team. He had this team. I said, mate, the salary cap on that team would be about 21 million. I said, the salary cap at the moment's about 4. He said, oh, I can fix that. Haven't you heard of cash? Anyway, so I'm sitting there, and this is 1999, right? And he's a big Footy Show fan. And he says to me, he said, so you're a TV star now, son? I said, oh, mate, I don't go for that TV star garbage. I said, it's just a job to me. He goes, just a job, is it? Working at Channel 9. No, mate, this is the best job I've ever had. And he goes, and then I listen to this. He says to me, what about your mate Sterling? He's going bald. I said, oh, how bad would it be to be bald? Right? And so I'm just staring at him. And I say, although I'll tell you what, some people can pull it off pretty well, Kerry. I had 2 hours with him, a most amazing 2 hours nearly of my life. It was incredible. To listen to his wisdom. He knew television, right? He knew what worked. And so at the time, the Footy Show was always a bit of criticism about, you know what, it doesn't talk footy. All they're doing is talking garbage and having fun. Kerry Packer, the last thing he said to me, as I was walking out, he said, "Oh, by the way, son," he said, "just one more thing." Yes, Mr. Packer, he goes, "Make me laugh. Thursday night, make me laugh." And that's what, that's a good plan.
Well, you're next to the Origin coach here. What about your experience at Origin coach in 95?
Yeah.
You won 3-0.
We did. So it was an amazing experience.
Fatty's Neville's? Was that
that was it, yeah. So Wayne Bennett was supposed to be the coach. The Super League war had hit. He resigned because he knew that we weren't going to pick any Broncos. So we just picked this team, you know, second graders, never was's, just guys who needed a chance, and somehow it worked. I think at the time, look, I'm no great coach, right? I think at the time, though, I was the person that they probably needed just to instill confidence in them. And that was all you needed. All I needed was to spill a bit of Queensland juice on them, and away they went, mate. They did the job. They were absolute Queensland juice.
Where do you buy that at?
But mate, that was the greatest experience of my life doing that. And you guys are in the opposing team. Well, what did you think?
Couldn't believe it, really.
No.
Our team on paper compared to yours.
Well, you had 11 internationals. We had none.
Well, Fat, we played a game of golf. This was before that I became the Queensland coach, and I left that game of golf feeling your passion for this state, feeling your passion for this footy team, this place here. What does the Queensland Rugby League team mean to you, and why did I leave that golf game feeling that passion?
Because I was never the greatest player in the world, but just getting into that Queensland jumper meant so much to me. And I'll tell you why. My dad played in the 50s, and he played for Western Brisbane. They won a comp, but he only ever got chosen once to play in a rep team, right? And that was to represent Brisbane against the Great Britain touring team. Would have been magnificent for him to play at the Gabba. On the Sunday, he picked up a nick on his eye and it got infected, and he missed out on playing his only rep team. So I said to myself, I'm going to do it for Dad. And I just love playing for Queensland, pulling on that jumper. And you know what? When I'm standing on this line here, and I got Wally Lewis here and Mark Murray there, and Trevor Gilmister and Greg Dowling and G. Moles, I'm going, you know what? Let's go, boys. I'm not letting anyone through. You're not letting anyone through. Let's just go together as a team. And that's what it was like for me during the 80s. You know, it was I played for the people that I played with, for the people who I played for, who are in this crowd here, right, and all around Queensland, and for the dickheads that I played against, so to speak. You know what I mean? But it wasn't an individual thing, it wasn't a personal thing, but anyone in the blue jumper, just hammer them. That was what it was all about. Simple.
You also played another game, not rugby league, but cricket.
Yeah, I love cricket.
You played an all-star game of that.
Yeah.
How did you come about that?
You've been talking about the catch?
The catch.
Celebrities, yeah.
Well, that was a great day. He wants me to tell the Joel Garner story, but anyway, I won't tell that one. But it was a magnet because I loved my cricket growing up, and that day there was Doug Walters, Alan Border was obviously there, Jeff Thompson, Rod Marsh, you name it. The heroes of Australian cricket were there, and it's just, you know, it was just a great day to be there and celebrate cricket. And of course, you know, the catch. Look, Serlo said it's the greatest fluke I've ever seen, and he's right. He's dead set right, but it was still one of the best days of my life.
You've had a lot of great flukes, mate. You've had a lot of great flukes. For a bloke who puts himself down a lot, you've had a lot of great flukes in life.
Well, you know, I try hard. I've tried hard at everything I've ever done, you know.
The other part of you, Kim. Now, what's Kim meant to you? You've been on a pretty big adventure, ups and downs all through it. What's it like now at your age, still involved with footy and with the wife, Kim?
She's the best thing in my life. Been married 39 years and she's all that matters to me and the kids, you know, Kylie, Nikki and Matt. So the older you get, it's not about you anymore. It's about your wife and it's about your children. That's what it's all about. I couldn't be the person that I am today without her. She's guided me all the way because I'm not real smart and she is. And it was fantastic. It was actually, I met her in the bank. When I went to Sydney, I was a bank teller and I got a job at the Commonwealth Bank in DY. And I walk in and they say, "You're Kim, right?" And they say, "You'll be working with Kim. And there's your computer thing." And I looked at her and I went, "How good a sort is she?" And I said to myself, "I'm going to marry her one day," right? Anyway, 6 weeks later, I've been trying real hard, giving her all my best material, anyway, she said to me, listen, you're nothing but a red-headed niff-nuff from somewhere in Queensland. You're an absolute goose. I want nothing to do with you. I knew then I was going to marry her because that's the nicest thing she'd said to me in 6 weeks. Anyway, 5 years later, we married. Gold.
What about you played your whole career at Manly? Oh, you can answer this one too. All you want to do was play there, and then it ended and you went to the Roosters?
Yeah.
How much did that hurt?
That hurt a lot. So, crying now. I'm playing there on the Comp 87, 88, 89, and I'm still playing okay, obviously, because I was on tour with the Australian team in New Zealand, a vice captain under Wally, under Bob Fulton's coaching. And I started to hear whispers that I was going to be punted from Manly, you know. We hadn't had a great year. So I get back, and then Doug Daly calls me in and gives me the bad news that we don't want you here anymore. We have to make you an offer by law. Apparently it has something to do with the ARL. I was on 95,000 at the time, and then we're going to offer you 50. But instead of, I was hot-headed. Instead of it's going, all right, I'll take that on board, let me go away and think about it, I give them a massive spray and said, you can stick it right up your Khyber, right, I'm off. And that was it. And I drove home to my house at Wheeler Heights, and I got out of the car and I said to Kim, I think it's over. And I cried. I actually cried because I had to leave Manly. And look, I went to the Roosters. I was very thankful that they actually offered me a contract. I was obviously 30 by then. And my first year at the Roosters in 1990, I was awful. I was absolutely disgusting. I wasn't fit, and I played awful, right? And it wasn't until the end of the year, I rang Jack Gibson, who'd taken over, and I said, Jack, how about I'll just retire, mate. Just pay me out my last year, I was hoping. And you know what Jack said? And I thank him for it. He said, you know what, son, that'd be too easy. He said, tell you what I'll do. He said, you can come back fit and well and be the player that I know that you can be, right, in January next year, or you can go and play for Bondi United in the local park comp to earn your money. Jack, I'll see you January 1. I came back, I lost about 10 kilos. I came back at 91 kilos. And, mate, I actually had a really, really good year. Mark Murray was our coach. And there was a peace offering between me and Jack. He turned up one day at training and he had a nice shirt on, beautiful blue denim shirt. I said, nice shirt, Jack. 2 days later, because we'd had a few words, he gave me the shirt. He said, mate, this is for you. I knew then that we were good. I actually had a really good year, and at the end of the year, I decided enough was enough and retired, 1991.
Oh, thanks for your time, Fat. That was
sweet, mate.
We could go all day.
Yeah.
We can get into really good stuff later on, but thanks for your time.
Well hosted, mate. You are
very much.
Good.
This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights, action, 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour, grab a seat on the couch for that, and of course my favourite, Freddie in the 8.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm, subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.